All right, here we go. Welcome back to the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr., and we have some breaking news. A major Landon Dickerson injury update after he was carted off the practice field last night at Lincoln Financial Field during the only open practice open to the fans for Philadelphia throughout this training camp, and it looks as though the Eagles have dodged a serious bullet. Before we talk about all of that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Late last night, when this news happened, I gave you a video from the at-home studio. Earlier this morning, when we got an update from Adam Schefter that it wasn't an Achilles injury, that Dickerson was undergoing an MRI, gave you a video. When Adam Schefter had that other update that it was a meniscus injury, I did a YouTube short. Join the movement, lock us in, hit that subscribe button, because when breaking news goes down, you can always count on us. As for the timeline of events, I kind of just summarized it for you, but on Sunday night, the defending Super Bowl champions had their open practice at Lincoln Financial Field, and Philadelphia sold out the link for a training camp practice. And a lot of the takeaways from players after that practice session was, this is incredible that we get this amount of support from our fan base that is so passionate and dedicated, caring so much about Eagles football. But toward the end of the practice, it got somber. It was a mood that went from being the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, because Landon Dickerson, three-time Pro Bowler, starting left guard for this Eagles team, was carted off after suffering an injury during team drills. Early on Monday morning, after we had gotten no updates last night, Adam Schefter put the tweet out that Dickerson was going to get an MRI on his knee. There was a lot of speculation that maybe it was an Achilles injury. You know what happens when football players get hurt. All the Twitter doctors are quote tweeting videos and putting out posts, trying to really get to the root of what is going on. And so I did a video with that update earlier today, which took off here on YouTube, that it was an MRI on his knee, which ruled out it being an Achilles injury. A little after we did that show, Schefter with another update that specifically with that knee injury, it was a meniscus. That's what the MRI had shown. And then just moments ago, mid-afternoon on this Monday, it has been determined and revealed that Dickerson is week to week. Now, as far as the specifics with this injury go, it's a little bit complex. And I imagine that we're going to see how things transpire over the next few weeks in the lead up to the season opener. But given what this could have been and what it is, this is great news for the Eagles, Eagles fans, and of course this Philadelphia Eagles offense and Landon Dickerson. So Adam Schefter, best case scenario here, Eagles Pro Bowl guard Landon Dickerson will undergo what's being described as a, quote, minor procedure on the meniscus in his right knee in the coming days. Dickerson then will be considered week to week with the goal of returning for the Thursday night, September 4th regular season opener against the Dallas Cowboys. For those not familiar, the Eagles have won 2 Super Bowls since 2017, and they are going to hoist their second Lombardi Trophy banner right in front of Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Can't wait for Thursday, September 4th. Obviously, this goes without saying. This is tremendous news for the Eagles, considering the level of player that Landon Dickerson is, and again, what this injury could have been. It looked to be ugly at the moment, and judging by how other players reacted, how Dickerson's teammates reacted, that got a lot of people concerned that maybe this was going to be a season-ending injury. Dickerson is an elite guard in the National Football League. And on top of being a great player, since being drafted in the second round by Philadelphia out of Alabama, he has really emerged into a fantastic team leader. With Jason Kelce retiring, Fletcher Cox retiring, this offseason, Brandon Graham retiring, there has to be a new wave of Eagles players who are taking on those leadership roles. Jordan Mailata's done a little bit of that. Landon Dickerson is doing a lot of that. On defense, it remains to be seen who those defensive leaders are going to be. But on offense, last year, it ended up being Landon Dickerson, who had clips go viral of him rallying up the offense and the offensive line prior to games, saying, you need to make these defenders and the opposition remember your name. Just the classic hype man, pregame speech, rah-rah guy. Dickerson grabbed the bull by the horns in that regard and became that dude. So just as important as he is on the field in between the lines along this offensive line, he's just as important in the locker room. And part of the reason why the Eagles have had so much recent success is because of their great championship culture, which Nick Sirianni has been able to solidify. And as far as this position group goes, this Eagles offensive line is the backbone of the team. Of course, you have the stars in Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. On defense, Jalen Carter and other emerging players. But the real foundation of this team is that offensive line. And Landon Dickerson being out would be literally, figuratively, a huge loss for this ball club. When Dickerson went down, everybody was holding their collective breath. There was a lot of concern and speculation. And also, pertaining to the specifics of the meniscus, this is also a tricky injury. If it's a severe one, you can be lost for the whole year. When it's something minor like this, which is what has happened to Dickerson, it's a big break because it could lead to him returning in less than a month. It's August 11th right now. I imagine he's going to get surgery either today or this week, and then he has an opportunity with one of those big, bulky knee braces that he always wears to play week 1 against Dallas. It just makes this team a lot better. And speaking of meniscus injuries in the city of Philadelphia and the complexities behind them, hello, Joel Embiid. We've been dealing with multiple meniscus injuries for Embiid throughout his entire career, and his timeline's obviously in a more agile sport for the position that he plays, and his style of play has become a timeline that has been very frustrating for Sixers fans. And the recovery timeline has also been a lot longer and arduous for Joel Embiid. I also got concerned by this because Dickerson does have a history of knee problems. When he was at Alabama after he transferred there from Florida State, he tore an ACL in his left knee and his right knee. And this is a player who clearly the Eagles are very high on because last year they heavily invested in him, making him at the time the highest paid offensive guard in the National Football League. Trey Smith did sign that new contract back a few weeks ago with the Kansas City Chiefs, which pays him $23.4 million per year. But Landon Dickerson is the second highest paid guard in all of football at $21 million average annual value, ahead of Chris Lindstrom, Quentin Nelson and Robert Hunt, Aaron Banks, Sam Cosmi, Quinn Miners, Will Fries, and Jonah Jackson. It seems as though, too, ladies and gentlemen, that the prayer circle that I put out on X was effective. We all were together with that prayer circle, hoping and praying that Dickerson was going to be okay. As for how he fared in 2024, you think about all of the success that Saquon Barkley had, a lot of that success was because of Landon Dickerson. The success of the brotherly shove tush push because of Landon Dickerson. And I think he's one of those players who the eye test tells you he's a lot better and more effective and more dominant than what the PFF numbers indicate. Like, the PFF numbers are still really good. They're well in the green, but I think Dickerson is even better than these numbers indicate. Overall PFF grade last year of 79.2. That was 13th among 136 guards, and that's counting left guards and right guards. His pass blocking grade, 73.6. That ranked 26th. And his run blocking grade, elite, 79.7. That ranked 12th. If Dickerson cannot return for the start of the year, the Eagles have a plethora of in-house options, and there's also a couple of external avenues that Howie Roseman could exhaust in order to find a replacement for Dickerson in the meantime. Philadelphia could go with Kenyon Green at left guard. The Eagles got him back in the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade. Former top 15 pick who you're hoping Jeff Stoutland can maximize and bring the best out of, but up until this point, he has been horrific. You could also move Tyler Steen to left guard and Matt Pryor to right guard when Dickerson had to play center to start the NFC Championship game because Cam Jurgens was out, and then Dickerson ended up hurting his knee, so Jurgens played anyway. It was Tyler Steen who did play left guard. Brett Tauth started Thursday night in the preseason opener at left guard. He could play center or guard. Drew Kendall could play center or guard. Trevor Keegan was drafted in the 5th round in 2024 out of Michigan after Michigan won the Natty, led by that offensive line. Philadelphia also drafted alongside Kendall 2 other, so 3 total offensive linemen in the 6th round. Cam Williams, Miles Hinton, they're tackles, but maybe they could slide to the interior. The best free agent out there is Brandon Scherf, a former top 5 pick by Washington, who's at the end of his career, but last year played pretty well. Howie Roseman could also make a trade if he needed to make a trade. But those were probably more realistic pathways to replace Dickerson if the injury was long-term. This injury, not believed to be long-term, and the Birds have dodged a bullet. Don't forget to give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. I'm always talking Eagles here, and I'm always talking Eagles over there as well.